Hello everybody, welcome back for another interesting video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. I posted yesterday on Twitter. I was asking people just a simple question. What would you like to hear me talk about? What interests, ideas, things do you have that you would like to hear me talk about or elaborate on? And one of the highest rated, ranked, thumbs up thing was how I got started in cryptocurrencies. So I'm gonna try and be as candid, I don't know if that's even the word, as honest with you as possible, to tell you how I got started in this space and how long I've been here and how long I've been interested. And yeah, without further ado, let's, I guess, jump into it. For those of you not looking at the screen, for those of you looking at the screen, you might be a bit confused. As on the screen, it says buy WoW Gold, World of Warcraft US Oceanic Market. For those of you who do not know about the game World of Warcraft, it is a game where you play as a monster, a mage, a paladin, a so-and-so, and you can fight other creatures around the world and fight huge, gigantic fire monsters and dragons and Galacrons and all this other stuff. Inside the actual game, as you're beginning to level up or start playing the game, there's an aspect of the game where they actually have gold inside of World of Warcraft. And usually what happens a lot of times if you are brand new to the market, brand new to the game, a lot of people actually try to buy World of Warcraft gold. And I had a friend many moons ago. It was very odd, simply for the fact that he lived directly next to Central Park, but he never went into Central Park. So every time I would go visit him and say, hey, let's go for a jog, let's go rollerblading, let's go do something, he only wanted to play World of Warcraft. And I remember it really used to bother me because I'm like, look at where you live, look at what you have, and you're not really taking advantage of it. So one time I sat down watching him play the game and I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm selling off my gold. I said, that doesn't make any sense, you don't have any gold. He said, no, I do. He said, I've been farming for a very long time and I've been farming all the gold and I'm selling it to other people. I said, why would anybody want to buy this digital gold that you have on your screen that you have been killing sheep and all this other stuff for? And he showed me the exact marketplace. This is one of thousands. There are so many different marketplaces to be able to buy and sell WoW gold, if you will. And I remember laughing at him. I thought it was the weirdest thing in the entire world because at that point, my idea of money was just either paper or, from what I had heard from other people, actual physical silver and gold. So I remember this was around the same exact time. I remember this was 2009-ish. And I started seeing on the internet something talking about like this new digital money, this new digital currency. I just completely wiped it off to the side of my head. It's fascinating looking back now and seeing where I came from and all the signs that were kind of there very early and me just not really paying any attention to it. So yeah, the first time that I had ever even heard of anything digital money-wise like that was through World of Warcraft. I think my friend even mentioned at one point the word Bitcoin. I completely pushed it to the side. It made no sense. Why would anybody want any type of digital money? What purpose would that actually serve? For those of you not looking at the screen, this is around mid-year 2012. This is when a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of you have similar stories, when you first started hearing the word Bitcoin. The first time I heard the word Bitcoin, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the entire world. I think after saying it 38 bajillion times, you kind of, you get used to it. It says on the 18th of July, 2012, Bitcoin price soars above $9 for the first time in almost a year. Whenever we would hear about this in the news, and I remember even a couple of times, just watching normal news, you would still hear about it because it was this amazing thing that had gone from a couple of cents, popped over $9, $10, $15, $20, especially if you've ever read any of the old, they're not old, but I mean like the books about how the cryptocurrency craze began. And it's a book about, I don't remember these, like, it's like 18 guys. The very first people who kind of were all friends and now they're like fake enemies because they all have their own blockchains and stuff like that. But how they got started in the space, and you begin to pick up news about it. And I remember a lot of times you wonder if it could be something. There were a lot of conspiracy theories. I mean, even more than now. For those of you who don't remember, I will re-inform you or reignite your memory. I remember around 2012 to 2014, when a lot of people didn't understand what mining was for. This was a very big one. Raise your hand if you remember that. A lot of people thought that mining was some type of a government conspiracy, that the mining power went somewhere else. People thought it was fueling power cells. I can't remember all the things that were actually being discussed, but one of the major things was when people found out that there were actual, what's the word? Mathematical equations being done to be able to verify the transactions on the blockchain. People were like, who's performing the verifications? Is it a mouse in a room? Is it a monkey on a typewriter? It was all these really weird things that people kept on coming up with. And this is why I said it's nice to see that the space has evolved. I don't think people realize how much it has evolved. In the old Bitcoin wallets around 2012, 2013, 2014, you had to put in your own Satoshi fee when sending transactions. It looked terrible. If you can Google and find what the old Bitcoin wallets used to look like, I implore you to please do so, because it was absolutely terrible. Especially around this time, you think that crypto is never going to take off, because it was basic beginning of the internet kind of thing. It's so fascinating, like refinding all of these articles again that I used to like kind of browse through or peruse through as time ends up going on. This one says Bitcoin's price hits $1,000 after doubling in 7 days. What's next? This is when it starts to get interesting for me. This was around the time when I was really thinking of investing more heavily. I already had at this point, I think, 2 or 3 properties, and I was looking for alternative investments. And I started to piece things together and try to figure out things that I wanted to do. I didn't know exactly what I was trying to get into. I remember asking a couple of friends what they invested in. If you haven't caught my other videos, I have at least 97% of my friends do not invest. And it's lovely people, love them to pieces. It's just a matter of a lot of people I know don't have prospects for the future. It's just kind of like, what is now is now. What's tomorrow? I'll deal with that when it comes. There's no real idea of saving. So when I tried to discuss this with other people, people didn't really care. It was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I remember even by the time I officially, you'll see in a couple seconds, I officially got into Bitcoin around the time the price had like sunk down to around 200. And it's very difficult to tell people, look at this amazing thing. It was a penny, and then it was 500, and then it was 1200. And now the price has collapsed back down to 200. You should buy into it. People look at you like you're completely insane, because once again, nobody wants to buy into anything when the price is low. This is why it's very interesting even right now that the cryptocurrency prices are also very low, because people kind of sit there and they go, well, I mean, it's lower than it was before. Why would I want to buy in? This is usually not financial advice. Usually a very good time to buy in when it looks like prices have kind of bottomed out, if you will. This was the game changer for me. I'm on the Wall Street Journal. I can't actually read the entire article. This is a brand new annoying trend of being not able to read major news websites because they want you to subscribe and or sign in and or pay for an entire year, which is what? When Bitcoin hit $1,200, that was the main bell ringer for me. And it made me understand, holy crap, I should have gotten into this about a good 2 or 3 years before, when my friend was telling me about it and I laughed at him. Why? Because around the same exact time, I was thinking, I was on the cusp of getting into buying actual gold and silver. As far as looking for alternative investments, it was one of the very few things that I could find that sounded kind of cool. I won't lie. The entire idea of owning gold was kind of like a, who owns gold? It's either very rich people or kings, and you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. I think I kind of want to do the exact same thing. So I remember going into places and going into stores and going into shops and kind of asking them, what's this, what's that? And I learned about the golden eagles and the liberties and the this and the that and the kookaburras, and it was a very fascinating thing that you could kind of, even certain coins continue to gain value as time goes on because of how rare they are, how many were minted, how many were created, how many are being hoarded by so-and-so, how many have been bought or purchased, especially like you can buy coins in different weights, of course. You can buy them in 1 ounces, or I think 2 ounces, 5 ounces, 10 ounces. Oh, not 20 ounces. I think it's then like half a kilo, and then 10 kilo coins. If you've never seen a 10 kilo gold or silver coin, it'll blow your mind. They're the coolest things in the entire world. It was around that time when I was like, okay, this seems really cool. It's something I could get into. I didn't even mind. I dare not say not making money from it. I think the entire idea at that point when I had started investing was kind of a put your money into something so that it doesn't devalue. And I had heard and learned that as inflation continues and the price of gold and this, and the gold is a stores of this, and the gold your money, and the blah blah blah. So gold won't ever deflate as much as the U.S. dollar does. And I was like, that sounds great to me. I totally don't mind not making astronomical amounts of money as long as I am preserving the money that I'm putting into it. However, the flip side of that was, you may have noticed before, I'm a very, I don't want to use the word cautious. Skeptical, I think, is more of it. I need to do enough research to be able to make sure that whatever I'm getting into makes sense for me. Make sure that I'm kind of not having my leg pulled, or that someone's not joshing me. Why can't I find another proper word for everything that I'm trying to say? What ended up happening is that after about a good year, I even say 6 months to a year, I was following multiple different golden tubers. I don't know what they call themselves. We're crypto tubers, and I don't know what they call them. Bullion tubers. People who used to make videos showing them buying gold and silver and how much profit they made and how much they had on the table and how much they have inside of this. And there was one guy, I remember, he had his gold stash, I think, separated amongst like 4 different places. And like one of them was like under his friend's bed, like 3.5 miles away. He went to his friend's house, showed it was a massive amount of money. And I think the friend did the same exact thing for him. They were kind of whatever. Anyway, the point is, the prices that people had started quoting sounded completely insane. For instance, even right here, this is absolutely perfect. It says in 2014, it says Merrill Lynch forecasts a $1,292 average, with a rise to $1,350 by the end of the year. It says gold will underperform silver, but the gold could trade as high as $2,000 per ounce by 2016. Things like that really get my mind kind of flowing in different directions, because it's this really weird euphoric, like, wow, that's absolutely insane. If I can get in at 1,200 and then it goes to 2,000, I'm absolutely rich. That's wonderful. But then I started looking at the gold tubers pages and kind of going back to seeing what other videos they had made. They had videos like that almost twice a month, thrice a month, I'd even say, where there was this really weird, yeah, one day, man, gold's going to hit 4,000 or 5,000 an ounce. You got to get in now. And I'm like, okay, I should be getting in now. And then you would keep track of the prices, because you kind of assume that this would also skyrocket at the exact same time. The point I'm trying to make is, I ultimately decided not to get into gold and silver because of the wacky, weird, wild price predictions. Not even joking. It was just really weird. Also, even on the same exact thing, by the time I was thinking of getting into gold, the price was around 1,200 per coin. When Bitcoin had hit 1,200 per coin, I was like, Bitcoin was also just around like $9, $10 about a good year ago. Like, the price increase for me kind of solidified that I should be looking into and or getting directly into Bitcoin. I think I didn't want to use the word dabbling, but I started paying attention more to the cryptocurrency market. I think at this point I kind of like swerved away from gold and silver. I remember having discussions with a friend of mine, like that she should buy silver and she should buy gold, and like I think I hadn't even bought myself then, but we were still discussing the prospects of like investing in something, and I don't think she ever bought. I doubt she ever invested ever. But yeah, that was kind of my first dive to really get into it. The other point is, if there are websites out there, I'm pretty sure you've heard the term like Bitcoin's dead, Bitcoin's dying, Bitcoin's not coming back. Around 2013, 2014, that's when this really started to ramp up. But I started paying attention. I always say, follow the money. Pay attention to where the money goes. If you're not really seeing, and it's not hype. I can't explain what the actual term is. If you're not seeing any momentum towards something, you probably should get out of it. That's my personal investing philosophy. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is an article from Forbes from 2014. It says one perspective of what Bitcoin will be worth in 2014. It says $10. At this point, every major analyst was either the entire phrase blockchain, not Bitcoin, hadn't even arisen yet. It wasn't even a thing. But everyone made sure to announce that Bitcoin was terrible, Bitcoin was horrible, Bitcoin has no use, Bitcoin, because they all focus on the price. A lot of people didn't really care that we had a brand new type of currency that could be used all around the world instantaneously, and everyone could get their hands on it without having to worry about being told about sanctions. That was not even a huge part of the discussion yet. It was that Bitcoin had flown to 1,200, kept on slamming back down, so therefore Bitcoin was dead. Bitcoin wasn't going to go anywhere. I remember this was years ago. I told you I started going to like Bitcoin conferences, Bitcoin meetings. There was like a Bitcoin meetup kind of thing. It was very odd, where pretty much people would meet, write down the price on a piece of paper that they had Bitcoin for, that they were trying to sell it for, and you would kind of go around to different tables and you would give them money and they would give you back the Bitcoin. It was very odd. And I met this woman there. I'm pretty sure if you've been here on the channel for a long time, you remember this. There was a woman there. I remember I sat down. She sat next to me, and I was like, "This is weird." And she was like, "Yeah, it's pretty freaking weird." So we were talking. I was like, "Where are you from?" She's like, "I'm from here." I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I've been there before." So we're talking, and after about a good 5 minutes, I was like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "Well," she's like, "I'm actually here on behalf of a couple of families." And I was like, "That doesn't sound creepy." She's like, "No." She's like, I'm a wealth managing service provider, stuff like that." She was like, "So a whole bunch of families have heard about Bitcoin and they want to know more, so they kind of send me around the world to go to different meetings and different so-and-so to see how or if their money should be allocated." And I was like, "Ah." She was like, "Yeah." She said, "I have one family." She's like, "I can't tell you the name." She said, "But they gave me around 5 million to play around with to see what I could buy in alternative investments." She said she was thinking of putting a couple million into Bitcoin. That point really hit me hard. I think if I had never met that woman, I wonder where my cryptocurrency story or saga would have gone, because I knew the potential of it. But when you hear that rich people pay attention to the potential of something, and this is why I mentioned before, especially even pay attention to the time frame. 2014, that's around the same exact time that we heard in 2019 that the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, and was it Fidelity, had all decided to get into Bitcoin. How odd, looking back at it now, that some of the largest financial institutions in the entire world had just randomly decided to get into Bitcoin. They also saw the exact potential as well, regardless if there had been a drop from 1,200, I think 180 or 200, whatever the number might have actually been. They were already accumulating. And this is why when I talk about the actual long-term prospects of the cryptocurrency space, it comes down to that. Rich people buy way before you do, and they understand the actual upside to all of this. And this is why I wholeheartedly believe, my opinion in my brain, that cryptocurrency and even Bitcoin is going to be absolutely massive as the years end up going on. I think a lot of people, it's easy to downplay it. It's easy to say that you're not doing something, but the same exact thing also happens for gold, silver, palladium, real estate, and all these other markets as well. It's easy as a billionaire or millionaire who has a huge stake in all these things to simply say, it's not going to do that well. It's not looking too good. But behind the scenes, you're also buying. So when prices do go up, you're like, yeah, I knew a couple of years ago. Like, can you imagine if in 2000, this is around the same exact time where if you sneezed too hard and it sounded like the word Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price would go up. I'm not joking. It was the weirdest time in the entire world. Anytime there were petitions going out to eBay to add Bitcoin as a payment option, Bitcoin's price went up on the news that there was a petition. There was a one of those meetings. It was between Ben Bernanke, the Winklevoss twins, all the other people in New York City, when they were discussing before the Bit license had even been birthed. And just off of the news that there was going to be a meeting on that day, Bitcoin's price went up. So any type of movement caused Bitcoin to really have really good days. And sometimes you'd have like very negative news, kind of like this, that would cause Bitcoin to kind of slide down, because it's very easy to knock someone down, especially if the market's relatively fragile. So, lost my train of thought. Where was I? But the point being, I saw all these very rich people getting into it, and that was kind of I want to say an aha moment for me. And this kind of bleeds directly into what I saw around here. Same exact thing. Bitcoin keeps falling and worries keep rising. Nonsense. It's all the same exact thing. The entire time that the prices kept on falling, it only gathered my attention a bit more, because the thing that I always like to keep in mind, if something is falling, if something is dying, if you should not be worried about something, why would you continuously talk about this in the news? It was everywhere. No matter where you looked, there was always some type of a little financial tidbit about Bitcoin. How low Bitcoin's going. Why is Bitcoin constantly falling? And I'm like, why would CNBC, Fox News, Bloomberg, Forbes, all these other people care about a falling asset if they weren't involved in it in some sort of way? If I had made my own coin called Cupcoin, and Cupcoin was down to $1 from $1,200, why would you care? The asset's dead. Let it kind of die, if you will. Even though this says Bitcoin keeps falling and worries keep rising, it was constantly in the news no matter where you looked. I think this was also the beginning of what's it called? Like Bitcoin, oh gosh, what's the word? Not meetups, but like those really conventions where everyone would go. And the original Bitcoin conventions and crypto conventions were kind of nice. It was a good, it would cost about $15, $20 to go to them. They weren't terrible. They weren't amazing, but you kind of learn about the new technology, where things are going to go. You get all these like really weird price predictions for where things could be. This was also around the same exact time where people were estimating that in the future, we would see a $500,000 Bitcoin or a $1 million Bitcoin. I think Roger Ver was one of the first people to actually say that Bitcoin would hit 100 million. I think this was also when he was still pro Bitcoin and didn't decide to pull a Star Wars and make Bcash. So this is where I really focused. And I think this is kind of I stopped caring about what anyone else said. For those of you not looking at the screen, this is an article from 2016, but this is it's older, newer than what I'm going to show you. It says, my wet and wild Bitcoin weekend on Richard Branson's Island Refuge. Right here, 2015. It says, Richard Branson to host Bitcoin Summit on private island. You can find, it's very difficult. For some reason, Google and their algorithms right now are just not working out very well. It took me a while to find this article, and I dare not even try to find the other articles that are actually out there that reference this as well. This happened multiple times. There were multiple billionaires on the planet who, for some reason, throughout the middle of 2014 to around 2015, were hosting private summits, Bitcoin summits, whatever you call meetings, on their private islands. And I think the one that really got me, I think Richard Branson is the head of Virgin Atlantic. I'm pretty sure it's him. He held a private meeting just with Bitcoin developers around this time. And I was like, why would you like, why would you be doing that? Like, why would you be trying to get into an asset that's only worth $250 that has completely dropped to 1/5 of its previous all-time high? What would kind of do that for you? For some reason, my mind clicked. I really got it. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, this is it. And I think I started buying more in mass. I had been buying before. One of my saddest regrets is that around the time, first of all, is not buying Bitcoin when my friend was telling me about it and it was about 14 cents. I was also not buying it when it was around $9. It was also around the time it was around $10, $20, $30, $40. Not really. I'd be like, maybe. Gold and silver looks kind of cooler. But when Bitcoin fell to around $200, I think I bought some, not even a whole one. That's how sad I feel. Because it's, once again, hindsight 2020. If I could go back, at least to the moment where Bitcoin was $200, I would have no bank account. It would just be exclusively, completely in Bitcoin. But it was these moments where like you kind of look back and you're like, oh, I should have definitely bought more. But this solidified it for me. This is when I really started kind of like picking up. But even then, this was also when I make videos and when I tell people or when I suggest or when I tell you about the past where I've been and I say, please just focus on where the money is. Please don't pay attention to crappy coins. Please, if there's a new ICO, EVO, STO, don't just throw your money into it. Pay attention to where the money is going. This has been happening for a very long time. We now know that the largest, richest institutions, people on this planet have been accumulating Bitcoin for at least 6 years that we know about. At least. And I tell you this all the time because all signs are constantly pointing to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP being kind of the major players in the game. I don't care what the price of any other coin is. I don't care if any specific day that SV goes up by 85%. These are crappy coins. No one's ever going to use them in mass. I'm trying. This is why I think this video is also very important, to kind of give you the background of where I've been so that you can all understand why I tell you the things that I tell you. Sometimes you hear me rant and I see people in the comment section, they're like, you have no idea what you're talking about, man. It's gonna rocket one day. And I'm like, sure. I've heard that so many times. Around the same exact time where I should have been buying Bitcoin in mass, I was buying WorldCoin and Vertcoin and Dogecoin and all these other coins that people told me to buy because they had better propositions than Bitcoin. That these coins were quicker and faster than Bitcoin. That these had more of a larger community than Bitcoin. That these had more support than Bitcoin. Bitcoin does 3 to 5 transactions per second. That coin does 150. What do you think is going to be used more in the future? And you fall for all these things because you don't really know what direction to go in. And this is why I try to act as a beacon, a holder of light, so that you can kind of see. I know it sounds cheesy, but I don't really care. So that you can see where you're going in the darkness, if that makes a lot of sense. I've had a lot of friends who got into the cryptocurrency space in 2017 and 2018. You always get the question, where should I put my money? How should I invest? I told you before about that friend who was asking me how to invest his money. And I said, dude, if you have $1,000, this was years ago, just put it into Bitcoin. He said, okay, cool. And the very next day, he told me he put his money into a CD with like 1/10 of 1% of a return. And I had to explain to him what inflation was and that over the next 5 to 10 years, he was going to lose money. It's the same exact thing. Other friends also ask me, where should I put my money? And I go, dude, if you have extra money, drop it into Bitcoin. And they go, okay, that's cool. And they buy all these other coins because the coins look more attractive because they're not 4, 5, 6,000 like Bitcoin is. And they go, okay, I'll put my money into that. Especially, it's also very confusing for people who get into the cryptocurrency space when there are 10 other coins that have the name Bitcoin in front of them. It's meant to cause confusion. If your coin is that great, wonderful, super powerful, has many transactions per second, just call it Cash. Just call it SV. If it's still that good, people will still use it. However, even with the name Bitcoin in front of it, no one's using these coins. This is what I mean. This is what I say. This is an explanation of why I get frustrated. Because can you imagine telling tens of thousands of people all the time to just pay attention to the really big ones, and like 1% of people actually listen to you? Everyone else gets into these other coins because other YouTubers tell them that they should be getting into these coins, not realizing that the YouTubers are telling them to get into these coins to fill their own pockets. How many times do we have to go through scams over and over through the years? How many times do people have to get burned before they're like, oh, I should have just been paying attention to Bitcoin. I got burned, so all of you don't have to. I bought the crappy coins, so all of you don't have to. So every single time, every single year, when we have 5 new coins that end up coming out that tell us that they're the new Bitcoin, they're the new so-and-so, they're a fork of Bitcoin, they're blah, 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 they're going to take over Ethereum, I'm like, look at the charts, look at where everything is gone, look at where the money is. Got it? Bitcoin has no address. Bitcoin has no physical space. Bitcoin has 3 to 5 transactions per second and is being bought up by the richest people on this planet. Ethereum has 300 plus partners with the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. Every single time that we get news about a partnership or something with Ethereum, it's always a major bank, it's always a major institution who is going to be using Ethereum. Every time that we get news about Ripple and or XRP, they have over 300 banks who are partnered with them. They have partnered with nearly every single bank in India. They have offices all around the world. Follow the money because it's so blatantly obvious. And this is why, once again, I did all of the crappy stuff over the years and I lost the money in the very beginning. And I'm trying to tell you or teach you or show you or not advise, just to open your eyes to where all the money actually is and where all the money is going. Does that make sense? That's kind of the main point for this. So, after that, I had decided, while I was buying up all these other coins, to also get into other financial spaces. I started looking into mutual funds, trading stocks, equities, this and that. I thought about day trading. It it was not for me at the time. It was just something that was too intense. It was too insane, having to pay attention, to have multiple screens, to pay attention to the markets at all times. So I said, okay, what can I get into? And I got into mutual funds. Mutual funds were my best friend. I was using Vanguard, the website. They had the lowest fees. They had the greatest bundle of stocks. I think I bought a bunch of things that had like Apple, Amazon, Google, all these, like all the major ones kind of tied together. I made money. I made some pretty okay money, especially at the end of the year. I think a lot of them at this point, especially when the stock market was doing extremely well, I was making around 19% at the end of the year. But it was also around the same exact time where I was also slightly accumulating crypto. And whenever there was like a really big or good day, so you would have times where the stock market would go up around a good 3, 4, 5% over the course of a month, 2, 3 months, give or take that time frame. But you would look at the cryptocurrency charts and you would see that Bitcoin had gone up by 14% in one day. It would fall the very next day, but you kind of like, Bitcoin looks like the better investment. So I wasn't trading stocks. I was just buying mutual funds. I think I bought a stock of one company and I was like, oh, that looks terrible. Like I don't want just one stock in my portfolio. So I bought mutual funds. I did pretty well. I think even at this point, I thought about teetering away from cryptocurrencies because it was kind of like do I really want to be in this? What's the future? Like I said, negativity plays a very big part in all of our lives, even when we don't think about it. If you hear 15 people telling you that cryptocurrencies are going to be the future, things will be digitized. This is why I always say, if you listen to the words or what Andreas Antonopoulos is saying or has said, and nearly all of it has come true, but in the moment, it sounds ridiculous as you're hearing it. You're like, okay, sure. And then you see it all kind of come true, and this is what only solidifies my idea of all of this even more, especially when you have a situation where traditional investments are doing extremely well and cryptocurrencies aren't. You go, maybe they're right. Maybe crypto is garbage. Maybe I shouldn't be in this market. And then you realize the actual... everything I just told you. You kind of realize all of that. It was also around the same exact time where I got into comic books. This is my favorite cover, so I just had to show it. I got heavily into selling comic books because when I was a child, I used to buy comic books. So I knew exactly how to sell them. I knew exactly what people looked for. I knew about when it says variant edition, it's usually a limited edition. So this cover, I think, only had 500 prints across the entire world. You acquire them for very cheap. You sell them for $1,500. It's kind of I want to say a no-brainer, but it is a brainer. You have to know exactly how the market works. And this kind of fueled also my further entry into the cryptocurrency space. I used to have papers. You have no idea. I used to have papers littered everywhere around the room. Every month after I had made money from all the other things I was doing, from work, rentals, and from selling on eBay, that money I would allocate across about 5 to 10 different coins. I wish I could show you some of these papers. I'm sure I've thrown them all. I hope I've thrown them all away. It's been like 5 years. And I'd put some into Bitcoin, some into Litecoin, some into Ethereum, some into Dogecoin, some into this. You know, like I was like $50 per month into all these coins. But it helped to fuel, like when you put money into a market and days and months go by and you kind of check on it again, and you see that you've made money. It's a very good, it makes you want to put more money into the market to kind of continue making money, if you will. So this is really where I think I picked up being an investor a lot more. It was around 2015, 2016. I can't give you an exact, 2014 to 2016, somewhere around there. I began to pick up because I realized it's cool that I'm making money from rentals, but what else is there? How else can I make money? So it pretty much was just me accumulating crypto as opposed to, stocks and bonds as well, or rather mutual funds. Minimal amounts of crypto. Oh my gosh, if I had a time machine. And also pretty much just starting a business, which I didn't think I was a business, but apparently when you sell about 1,500 things in a year, you are considered a business. So I had to register to be a business. And yeah. One of the other questions that popped up on Twitter was, when did I decide to start a YouTube channel? This ties directly into everything that we were also talking about as well. It was out of boredom. Surprise! It was really because I had, and I'll tell you this honestly, I had gotten complacent kind of where I was, it was this really, I don't know how to explain it. I knew that I was making money from the rentals. I knew that I was making money. I mean, the market wasn't a bull market, from mutual funds. And I know that even when I was selling comics and stuff like that, it was like, you know, I'd package them, go to the post office, bam, cool. But then I'd come back home and kind of do nothing all day, all the time. I had nothing to do, nowhere to go. I would hang out with my friends, but you know, after a while, like when you see the same people 7 days in a row, you're like, oh, hey, seeing you again. Fancy seeing you here for the 30th time this month. So I remember, I think I was looking into, there was a guy, I don't remember his name. There were three guys. I can't remember what the heck they look like. Who used to make videos on how to start a YouTube channel. And it took me about a good month to even think of getting up the courage to kind of do it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll start doing it. This also, for those of you who saw the very beginnings of the channel, I used to exclusively talk about traditional investments. I didn't start crypto until I started the channel in 2016. I think I had made, as crazy as I am now, I was still crazy back then. I think I had made 200 to 300 videos over the course of like, I think 4 or 5 months. I made an enormous amount of videos. I was just constantly pumping out content. It was videos about how to invest in stocks, how to deal with taxes, which also didn't make any sense because everyone has a different tax code depending on where you are in the world. So that also didn't really make a lot of sense. I had videos about like alternative investments, investing in shoes and sneakers and clothing and all these other things. And one day I made a video, I think it was titled, "Should you invest in Bitcoin? Why Bitcoin is," I don't remember what it was. But I realized people liked it. And I was like, And also at this point, I think Bitcoin's price was kind of like teetering upwards. And I kept on making like normal traditional investment videos. I made a video on XRP. That was, I think, my first ramble video. That was the first time, I think, when you make a video, when you start you may notice, even from like my earlier videos, I talk, not that I talk different, it takes a while to get comfortable. You worry if people will care how you talk, how fast you talk, how slow you talk, the things that you say. I don't care anymore. You may have noticed, I've been doing this for so long, like I know that I can just kind of talk to you openly, if you will. And even then, I guess people keep asking me as well, like why my voice changed. I've made like 1,400 videos. If you notice, I haven't really taken a breath the entire time that I'm talking. I think I've just destroyed my voice. Not even half joking. Like I think I've been talking nonstop for so long doing these videos that I think at some point it just kind of like cracked, if you will. But yeah, it was just really weird. You try to talk professionally. You try to talk to people, you know, not as an authority figure, but kind of like this is how this works. This is how to make money in this. And I think in that one video, I remember it annoyed me so much. This was around the time where I think XRP came out in 2016. I think I had a couple of them. I don't remember exactly how many I had. You used to be able to like mine XRP, air quotes. There was a website where you could give your computing power to this like medical company to help them like find cures and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'll allocate some of my computer power, and they would give me like, I think 15 XRP a day or something really weird like that. And then I remember this is around the same exact time that so many companies had started joining Ripple. I think Ben Bernanke, whatever the former financial something of New York, left his podium and kind of joined Ripple. They started getting people from the CFTC and the SEC also joining them. And that's when in that video I was like, listen, I was like, if you don't understand that you'll be making money from this, it's just completely, you're not paying attention to the larger picture. And lo and behold, that was also the year where XRP went from half a cent to $3.60. And I remember, I'll never forget, when XRP hit 20 cents, my comment section exploded. I didn't make a video on Ripple or XRP for about a good 2 to 3 weeks on purpose. I didn't want anyone to say I was pumping the market. I didn't want anybody to say that I was a shill. I didn't want any reference to me pumping any coin, any so-and-so. Nothing. I made sure that as XRP's price was going up in 2017 to not say a word. And the first time I made a video on it was when XRP's price, I believe, hit, it was like $1.20. Because people were getting angry with me. A lot of people who are XRP supporters, very angry. Why aren't you making any I told you so videos? Why aren't you showing people the power of XRP? I said, no, listen, I know now how money works and I understand where all the money is flowing. Once again, why I just usually focus on the top 3 coins, because it's fairly obvious to me in my mind where all of this is going to go. The entire point being, to reel it all back, it was boredom. I made the channel out of complete boredom. I never expected to get as far as I did. I think I expected to hit around 10,000 subs. I think that was kind of the maximum. Even for the second channel that I made, my gaming channel, I have a, what's the word? For some reason, my mind always puts like the pinnacle, the top around 10,000 subscribers. And I'm like, okay, that's a really good number for me to kind of bounce off of. But 2017 was completely insane. I started the channel in 2016. 2017, I actually got into crypto. For those, I'm telling you everything, so why the heck not everything else? I stopped the channel for about a good 3 months. I didn't get discouraged. I can't tell you that part. It just there were a lot of really weird things going on with some of my rentals. And it took my attention away from crypto and the channel completely, so I stopped doing it. But I think at the beginning of 2017 is when I like really kind of started up again. And yeah, I started it because I was bored. I was making tons of passive income and I had nothing else to do. Isn't that weird? It's not some crazy like I have to spread the word of Bitcoin. I was really bored. I was traveling a lot. I was traveling anywhere that I wanted. But then you kind of come back home and you're like, yeah. The other thing, and this is all from one comment, mind you. This is all from one thing on Twitter that had the most amount of hearts or thumbs up, whatever Twitter does. They were asking me how I feel about having almost 155,000 subs. It's weird. It's incredibly odd. I don't think I'm special. I don't think I'm anything interesting. I don't find myself. It's just kind of me. A lot of people tell me that they laugh or find funny some of the things that I say. Some people say that they like my dry humor. I just talk. Like I don't think about being funny or trying to say things. It just kind of when you hear me stuttering, when you hear me going like that's all me legitimately just trying to like convey a message. But I guess it just comes out completely insane. It's very weird. I get a lot of people in the comment section. Thank you to all of you, by the way, who tell me that I deserve more subscribers, or when the next bull market happens, I'll have 500,000 subscribers or millions. It's like I throw question marks around my head because I can't see. Not that I can't see the value of what I provide, but it's always a sure, if you think so, then maybe it'll happen one day. When I passed by 100,000 subs, it was the weirdest thing in the entire world. You just kind of don't expect it. You don't expect to, like I told you, like 10,000 was kind of my max. It was kind of like I'll get to 10,000, I'll do it for a couple of years, see how it works out. Yeah. It's weird, right? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's fun though. I'm glad I started it, and I'm glad that I got back into it. Because after those 3 months, I was kind of like, ugh. I guess I'll stop. It's very fun. It's fun to, not all aspects, which I'll get into in 1 second. It's fun to be able to create things that helps people, that kind of gets your mind jogging. It's nice to have conversations with all of you. It's nice to interact with you. It's nice to talk to you in the comment section. It's nice to ask you questions as to what's going on, to, all these little things that I've been doing. It's great. It's fun. I really like it. So I think I'll be doing this for quite a bit of time. I will tell you right now, I can't promise anything. If Bitcoin ends up hitting $500,000, I'm probably going to stop the channel for like 2 months just to take like a really long breather. As much as I like doing the channel, I will tell you right now, any significant boost in my portfolio will result in me going to an island. Just going to be totally honest with you. I may take my equipment and stuff like that as much as I can and make like a video a week, but just know I will be on a beach somewhere. And the last part of that person's question was, how do I feel about rude people in the comment section? Sometimes you may, and I'll try and be as honest as possible about all of this. It's very weird waking up early in the morning, making videos about the news, about the daily happenings. I understand that people don't have the entire day to comb through all the cryptocurrency news, so I try to give you the most interesting, the most crazy, the most spoken about, the things that could potentially have the most effects on the market. And it's very weird to have people threaten you, call you stupid, call you dumb. The other words I simply can't use on the channel. It's weird. Can you imagine? Imagine there's an old lady walking across the street and you decide to help her. You see she's struggling. You help her across the street. You see she's going into a building and you hold the door for her. And then she kind of insults you and spits in your face, takes out like a little dagger and tries to like slice your face. It's kind of like that. It's very weird. In the beginning, it used to bother me a lot. I remember, I'll never forget the first time that I had a thumbs down. You sit there and you go, what did I do wrong in the video? Did I insult someone? Did I say something wrong? Like, you just kind of, it takes you back because you don't understand why would someone dislike something I was saying. Like, I remember making videos trying to help people. Like, I can help you make more money. I can help you save money. Like, I had videos about like how to save $200 per month and where to invest it, how to do so and so. I remember the first dislike, I was like, it hits you hard because you don't understand what you've done wrong. And then about a good 2-3 months later, that's when the insults start. And that's when you kind of get called all types of names and you're an idiot. My brother did this and he does it better than you. Some of my favorites, I mean now, because I can say this, are the copycat crypto channels. I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of times people will post things in my comment section or on my Twitter where they try to rile me up, where they try to fight me, where they try to say something detrimental to me or about others I may know, in an effort to try and draw attention to their cryptocurrency channel. I didn't get it at first, but this is exactly what it is. There was somebody a couple days ago you have to understand, I am human. There was somebody a couple days ago on Twitter, I posted something and he commented, you're an effing loser. You have no idea what you're doing. People shouldn't be paying attention to you. You told people to buy Bitcoin and the price went down. It was all this other stuff. And I was like, okay. And then I looked at his name, his Twitter name, and it was like crypto YouTuber 421. It was some channel name. And I was like, oh, he's just trying to start something so that he can say that he got into a fight with me on Twitter. Like I said, I am human. I almost cursed him out because people always say to me, and I've seen this a lot. Like if I mention something in a video, people go, oh, don't let them intimidate you. Don't let them make you feel bad. It's difficult. It's very difficult having, on an average video, I'll have anywhere between 200 to 400 comments, roughly, give or take, somewhere around that number. It's difficult when around 35 of them every single day is tearing you down in some sort of way. You know, sticks and stones can break my bones. Words also hurt a lot if you keep hearing the exact same things over and over. A lot of people have stopped. I think a lot of people have finally left the channel. Quick shout out to the 5 people who watch. So whenever I post a video, I also post the links in other places and also check on the video to make sure that everything is working fine actually on YouTube. Every single day when I post a video and I'm posting it to other places and I go check on the video, within 3 minutes of me making the video, it doesn't matter what the video is about. Bitcoin, YouTube, Ethereum, XRP. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. I could have a headline, Bitcoin just rose to $900 million. I always have 5 dislikes. So shout out to you 5 people who make sure that you are the first 5 people watching my video and giving me the first 5 dislikes. I didn't know I had such an impact in your life that you woke up exactly when I did and when I posted my videos. Do you understand how crazy that is? There are people who make sure the moment I post my video that they give it thumbs down, while at the same time giving me a view. I don't get it. I don't think I'm meant to understand it, but shout out and a tip my hat to you for giving me the 5 extra views. I don't understand why people do certain things. It used to bother me a lot. I think it hits me maybe every 1 or 2 months now. A lot of times I understand that people may have, I think people have a lot going on. I think people are afraid that the cryptocurrency market has gone down. That's why I mentioned over the years, do not put more into the market than you can afford to lose. I'm not saying this as a way to shield myself when the market goes down from all of your hate and anger. It's because, no, I've seen this before. I've been here for a very long time. I saw the people who lost money on BitConnect. I had friends who lost all this money and other scams and pyramid schemes and all these other things because at some point someone told them to put their money into these things. So you have to understand, when I say put only what you can afford to lose, that's not a mantra. It's just a truth-tra. Don't dump any money into the market that you can't afford to lose, because when it ends up happening, I am the messenger. People end up getting upset with me and they get angry with me. I lost money because of you. I have never inherently told anyone, buy Bitcoin. You have to buy Bitcoin. Your life depends on it. I always say, do your own research. Based off of what I've read and what I've seen, everything I just told you in this video, all the billionaires talking about it, for me, it makes a lot of sense. For you, it might not make any sense. So do some research. Take about a good week of your time. Research as much as you possibly can to figure out exactly what's going on in your life. If you have enough money to not only put into the cryptocurrency market, but if it makes sense for you. A lot of people love to invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, gold, silver, palladium, pickles, whatever people invest in. Go for it. It's just about making money so that you're secure for the future. One of the other things I used to talk about on the channel as well was this entire retirement crisis. You may not know it. A huge portion of the world is never going to be able to retire. Ever. EVERRRR. Ever, ever, ever. You will be working for the rest of your life. Huge amount of people. So when I tell people to put away money, to have an emergency fund, to invest in anything that can help you make money, this is what I mean. Yeah, so they don't really bother me anymore. I understand that people may be angry at the cryptocurrency prices dropping. It could be something personal in their own life. Their wife may hate them, and therefore they decide to take it out on me because they know that if they post it in the comment section, tons of other people will be able to see it as well. So, I mean, yeah, it just kind of is what it is. Everyone deals with stress and pain differently. I try to laugh. I watch Family Guy. I mean, Netflix, what have you. I try to make money. I go on vacations. Everyone's different. So, I used to hate it before, but now when I see some of the comments, I'm like, okay, whatever. Listen, I have far too many other. I have 2 YouTube channels. I have multiple businesses. I have multiple rental properties. I have a lot more to worry about than Joe Schmo telling me how wrong I am for telling people to invest in Bitcoin. It just doesn't really right. Yeah, that's my crypto story. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I think I covered everything, and that was all from one topic. That was all from one tweet from one person that had tons of likes on it. If you can think of anything else you'd like me to talk about, you think I should talk about, go for it. I may try to lend an ear. I may try to help you out with it. I hope you enjoyed my life story, my last 10 years story. It's so weird. Bitcoin price soars above $9. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, can you imagine being like, oh, Bitcoin's at $9. It's way too expensive. I wish I could go back in time, but even then, it's these situations that always kind of get me going as well. I wholeheartedly believe in my heart of hearts, at some point, Bitcoin will be over 100,000. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, next year, or by 2030. At some point, I believe it will happen. My personal belief. But even then, we'll be looking back like, oh gosh, I wish I had bought Bitcoin at 6,000. Like, it's kind of the same exact thing. Like, Bitcoin will also seem incredibly cheap. I mean, not as cheap as $9, but as cheap and undervalued as it is, as it was back then. Right. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.